understand the meaning of these two things, that is critical angle and total internal reflection, we have to think of a particle or a ray of light starting from the denser medium to the rarer medium. Just like suppose a paperweight is there, paperweight has some colored things inside it, so that is a object. So the objects are suppose at A or at B or at C or at D, and this is a glass slab. So for ray AO, the refracted ray is OA dash, which is having greater angle of refraction, that is R dash, R is greater than I. Similarly for BO, the angle of refraction is R dash, which is greater than I dash. Then for the ray CO, this is of course C is this C is let us write it as C1, so that it will be C1. So for this ray C1O, it is the angle of incidence is C, for which the angle of refraction is 90 degree. That means the refracted ray grazes the surface of the glass slab. Then for greater angle of incidence than C, we find that DO ray is returned back as OD dash into the same medium, and these two angles are equal, indicated by double lines. So this phenomenon is called total internal reflection, where the ray of light returns back to the same medium, although there is a surface separating the denser medium and the rarer medium. That means critical angle plays a vital role. If angle is more than C, there will be reflection, and if it is less than C, there will be refraction. And there is a relation between critical angle and refractive index. Suppose you have the from Snell's law, you can write from Snell's law, you know that sin I by sin R is equal to n of n. Let us write only n without writing air or glass like that. So here for this ray C1O, it is angle of incidence is C. So sin C by sin 90 degree is equal to n. N is what? Now the final medium is air and the initial medium is glass. So it is NGA, which is equal to 1 by n glass with respect to air. This I have already told you in the previous class. So now you find that NGA is equal to 1 by sin C. So this is a very important relation, although very simple. We can give examples for NGA is equal to 1.5, C is equal to 41.8 degree, and for diamond, say, and diamond with respect to air, it is 2.2. So C comes out to be 24 degree. So these two calculations are of importance, because for diamond, as you know, that it glitters even in darkness. So that is because there is a lot of internal reflections, total internal reflections inside diamond. So only very rarely the rays escape. So in darkness, some rays escape which have entered into the diamond. So that is why it glitters even in darkness. Similarly, this one has the application, that is, say, suppose you have a right angled isosceles triangular prism. So, a ray enters straight, and here there is a normal. So, this angle is 45 degree. So, which is greater than 41.8. So, it will be totally reflected. So, a right angled prism is a better reflector than a plane mirror. If you see, plane mirror has a coating at its back. So, that coating absorbs some amount of light, but here almost nothing is absorbed by the glass medium. So, it is a better reflector. So, these can be regarded as the applications of this phenomenon. Then the second application is your mirage. It is an optical illusion found in deserts, where the travelers think that there is water near a tree, like a date palm tree, but there is nothing like water there. So, it is an optical illusion due to the change of refractive index of different layers. So, that is mirage, which is an optical illusion in deserts. In cold countries also one type of mirage is there. So, then the third application is your optical fiber. Optical fiber is a very thin, narrow, say made out of glass, where the ray entering into it suffers multiple total internal reflections and goes straight away. So, by that the electromagnetic waves converted into this light waves, they get refracted several times. Total internal reflection takes place several times, and it can travel a long distance without absorption of light. So, it is now a communication system, optical communication, which has been made possible with the help of optical fiber by the use of total internal reflections. Then there is also another application used in periscope. So, that application is just two prisms are used, and one can find the image of an object at a greater height. So, that is your periscope. So, particularly it is useful for short heighted persons and for ships, underground ships, which are used in say war times, at war times. So, these are the applications. Next we come to the refraction through a prism. n, that is refractive index of glass with respect to air, is equal to sine of a plus dm by 2 by sine a by 2. We will explain what are the symbols. A is the angle of the prism, then dm is equal to angle of minimum deviation. So these things will be understood better if we draw a three-dimensional figure for the prism. So these are the this is called edge, or say refracting edge, where two planes meet. This is your angle A. So as you see, a glass prism, which is also an experiment in +2 class. So it has 5 surfaces, 2 triangular and 3 rectangular. So when two surfaces meet, just like say in walls, the two surfaces meet at the edge, that is called refracting edge, and these are the refracting surfaces, and angle between these two surfaces is called angle of the prism, which is usually 60 degree for our experiments, but it may also change according to construction. But in actual theoretical investigations, we use a term called the principal section. Principal section. So what is the meaning of principal section? Any plane passing perpendicular to the refracting edge of the prism is called principal section, which is naturally triangular in shape. Just like lenses, their principal section is just a 2 curves, but actual thing is for a lens it is 3-dimensional. It is not like that. So similarly, this is the principal section, and this principal section, so let us write PQR as the principal section, and a ray is incident from this side, makes an angle I. So let us write it as B, this point is B, then it goes like this point is C, and then goes this way, that is I dash. So this is ABC, then deviation for D, so we write it as E, then F. So what is EB? EB is the incident ray, then BC is equal to refracted ray, then CF is equal to emergent ray. So I is equal to angle of incidence, then R is equal to, this is R is the angle of refraction, this is a R dash, r dash is equal to angle of incidence for the surface PR, and I dash is equal to angle of emergence. That is also one type of angle of refraction for the other surface, but we write angle of emergence. Then if you extend these two normals, these are the normals, so n and dash, and let us say they meet at O. Then if there is no prism, then the incident ray would have traveled like this. So due to the presence of the prism, it has bent by an angle I minus r, which is called the deviation for the surface PQ. Similarly, for the surface PR, the deviation angle will be I dash minus r dash, and the final deviation angle, that is say it is f, so let us say it is g then h. So this angle HGC, that is called the total deviation d, which is equal to the sum of these two deviations. So that we will use in our calculations. So this principal section is your PQR. PQR is the principal section. So HGC angle is equal to angle of deviation, and that is equal to sum of the two interior and opposite angles, that is I plus I dash minus r plus r dash. This is your equation 1. So that is angle of deviation is now on these things, these two things. So in the triangle BCO, comma, sum of three angles is equal to 180 degree. So is equal to 180 degree. Then in the quadrilateral PBOC, you have two angles 90 degree. So what are the angles? PBO is equal to 90 degree is equal to PCO. So total angle is 360 degree, out of which two are 90 degrees. So the other two will be together 180 degree. So angle A plus BOC is equal to 180 degree. Then if you compare equations 2 and 3, you see that the right hand sides are equal, so the left hand sides will be equal. So comparing equations 2 and 3, we get r plus r prime is equal to A, that is angle of the prism. And if you use equation 4 in equation 1, what you get. Using equation 4 in equation 1 comma we get d is equal to I plus I dash minus a, and fifth equation. Then if you draw a graph between angle of incidence, different angles of incidence can be taken and different angles of deviation found out in degrees. All these things are degrees. You get a curve like this, which is called ID curve. ID curve. So from this ID curve, this is ID curve. The minimum value of the deviation is called dm. So this dm appears here, that is minimum deviation. So then how to get dm out of 5? This is practically we are getting, but in theoretical things how you get it. So that is, the two methods are there. One is by calculus, you differentiate d with respect to I, and you can get also the condition for d is equal to dm. Otherwise, from experiments it is found that when I is equal to I dash, that is symmetrically entering and going out for the ray through the prism, then only you get d is equal to dm. So let us use the calculus method to get the values. So differentiating both the sides of equation 5 with respect to I, comma, we get dd by di is equal to 1 plus di dash by di minus 0. So this is 0 because angle of prism is fixed. So when constant quantity is differentiated, you get 0. So then for d is equal to d minimum dd by di is equal to 0. This is the theory of maxima and minima. So if it is 0, 0 is 1 plus di dash by di. So implies di dash by di is equal to minus 1. Implies di dash is equal to minus di, implies I dash is equal to minus I. So this is a relation which says that one angle is positive, the other angle is negative. So this can be interpreted by the use of coordinate geometries. You see, in coordinate geometry, the angles are measured in the anti-clockwise sense. So in this diagram we have not indicated. So this is like this. So I dash will be measured anti-clockwise, and this is measured. It is what is the angle made by the emergent ray with the normal? It is the angle made by the incident ray with the normal. So this is measured in the clockwise sense, and this is measured in the anti-clockwise sense. So that is the meaning of the negative sign. So just we can use the I is equal to I dash, numerical value. Numerical value is I is equal to I dash. So we can write the negative sign is due to the convention followed to measure angle. That is, angle is always measured anti-clockwise, but here you see one is anti-clockwise, the other is clockwise. So therefore, so I is actually equal to I dash, not minus I dash. Then using equation 7 in equation 5, comma, we get, so what you will get? dm, now d is equal to dm because this condition is imposed, so it is 2I minus a, or I is equal to a plus dm whole by 2. This is a 8, equation 8. So this part is obtained. Sin I by sin r, actually that is there. Then we will prove that when I is equal to I dash, then r is equal to r dash. How to prove it? When I is equal to I dash, comma, r is equal to r dash, as shown below. For refraction by the surface PQ, this surface, first surface, you have sin I by sin r is equal to refractive index of glass. Final medium is glass with respect to air. Then for refraction by the surface PR, you have sin, the angle of incidence is now r dash. So sin r dash by sin I dash is equal to n. Final medium is air and the initial medium is glass. This is glass, this is air, and this is also air. So it is air with respect to glass, which is reciprocally related to the standard refractive index. So from these two equations, this we can write a number also, we can give 9 and it is 10. Since I is equal to I dash, comma, equation 10 becomes sin r dash by sin I is equal to 1 by NGA, which implies you invert it, so become sin I by sin r. This is 11. Then you compare equations 9 and 11. The right hand sides are equal, then sin I is there at top, then sin r must be equal to sin r dash, so or r is equal to r dash. So comparing equations 9 and 11, we get sin r is equal to sin r dash or r is equal to r dash. and this r is equal to r dash can be used in the relation r plus r dash is equal to a. So using equation 12 in r plus r dash is equal to a, comma, we get 2r is equal to a or r is equal to a by 2. R is equal to a by 2. Then there is an equation 9, Snell's law, sin a by sin r is equal to nga. So there you use equations 13 and 8. So using equations 13 and 8 in the equation 9, we get the formula given at the top. Then there is a special case for a thin prism. Special case for a thin prism. So this thin prism has angle A very small, and if we express it in radian, if A is expressed in radian, then sin A by 2 will be nearly equal to A by 2, because sin theta is nearly equal to theta. Then similarly, for sin A plus dm by 2, where dm is also expressed in radian, it will be nearly equal to A plus dm whole by 2. Then your Nga, refractance glass with respect to AR, becomes A plus dm by 2 by A by 2. 2 cancels, you divide by A, you get 1 plus dm by A. So this formula is used finding dispersive power and other things. So this implies dm is equal to n minus 1 into A. So this is a simple formula, but used many times in physics. Then then we come to the other topic, that is refraction through a spherical surface. Spherical surface separating two media. Separating two media. So here we assume that there is a surface, spherical surface, part of a sphere that separates two media like air and glass, or maybe air and water, like that. So the two surfaces, only there is one surface, but on the two sides there are two surfaces. So this one is the surface. So the center of curvature is here, and there is a pole, you can say. This is the principal axis, and for simplicity, what to do? This is a glass, this is a air. Like say mu1, it is mu2. Same thing as n2. And for simplicity, let us think of a point object. Point object sending rays. Many rays are sent. One is, say, first one is like this, passes through the pole and the center of curvature, so goes on deviated. Principal axis. So this entire thing, this side, is glass. Enter this side is air. So this ray travels, and if you join this one with the center of curvature, then it will be the normal. So naturally this is the angle of incidence, and since it enters from rarer to denser medium, it bends towards the normal and moves like that. So this is say R, angle of refraction, and here is the image I, and the image is real because the rays actually meet. So it is a real image forming glass. Then let us write it L, and let us drop a perpendicular on the principal axis. This point is a P dash. So if you draw like this is a delta, and let us denote angles alpha, beta, then gamma. These are the three angles. So this perpendicular, you can write say H for simplicity. So what we see from this diagram, O is the point object, forming point image in glass or say denser medium in air. Say. From these figures, what we see? So in the triangle LOC, your CL has been extended, so this is the exterior angle. So I is equal to exterior angle is equal to sum of the two interior angles. So I is equal to alpha plus beta. Then in the triangle, this triangle LCI, what you find? Beta is equal to exterior angle equal to R plus gamma. So let us not give the equation for this, because we want I and R. So that gives you R is equal to beta minus gamma. So it is equation number 2. Then there are three right angle triangles, LOP dash, LP dash C, then LP dash I. So in the triangle LOP dash, what to find? LOP dash, you have tan alpha. Tan alpha is how much? H perpendicular by base. Base is O P dash, and from this diagram we see that it is OP dash is equal to U. This is a U. Actually this U is negative when measured from P, but let us write first at the magnitude. So it is U, then plus PP dash is your delta. Then in the triangle LP dash C, what you find? Tan beta. So tan beta is equal to H divided by P dash C, that is H divided by, what is PC? PC is your R, that is a radius of curvature. You can take small r also, but small r is for angle of refraction. So we write big R. So P dash C is nothing but PC minus delta, that is H by R minus delta. Then another triangle, right angle triangle, is your LP dash I. LP dash I, so it is tan gamma. So tan gamma is now H by, it is P dash I, that is H by P dash I, you can write Pi minus delta, that is your H by V minus delta, V minus delta. So all these together we can give one equation number 3. Clear? So till now we have not approximated anything, but usually, as you know, for the lens and mirrors we take only paraxial rays, that means rays which are nearer to the principal axis. So if you do that, then L will be nearer to P, so that when perpendicular will be dropped from L on P or L on the principal axis, it will be reaching P, not P dash. That means P dash will not be different from P. So as a result, delta will be tending to 0 in that case. So considering, you can write considering paraxial rays. Paraxial rays, as you know, it is the rays which are nearer to the principal axis. Paraxial rays, L is nearer to P and delta tends to 0. Further, for paraxial rays, alpha, beta and gamma are very small. So these approximations now you start from tan alpha will be equal to alpha, because sin theta is nearly equal to theta, cos theta is nearly equal to 1 when theta tends to 0. So tan alpha will be equal to alpha. So alpha will be nearly equal to H by U. Then beta will be nearly equal to H by R, and gamma will be nearly equal to H by V. These three are the fourth equation. So with these ideas, equation 4 can be used in equations 1 and 2. So equation 4 can be used in equations 1 and 2. So by doing that, what you get? I is equal to alpha plus beta. So that will be this I one and 2 gives I is equal to h by u plus beta is h by r. H can be taken common, so 1 by u plus 1 by r. Similarly, r will be beta minus gamma, so it will be h by r minus h by v. So it is h into 1 by r then minus 1 by v. So these are the two equations, little bit approximated, no doubt we get it. Then Snell's law gives sin I by sin r is equal to n of glass with respect to air, and when I is a small angle for paraxial rays, sin I will be I, similarly sin r will be r. So for paraxial rays sin I is nearly equal to I and sin r is nearly equal to r. So you have I by r is equal to n g a. And what is n g a? As you know, it is just like n21. n21 is n2 by n1. So it is say va, speed of light by speed of light in glass, and this you can write as c by vg. C is the speed of light in vacuum, c by va. So this is nothing but ng, absolute refractive index of glass, then absolute refractive index of air. So you can make a cross multiplication. So Na into I is equal to Ng into R. This can be say equation 7. Then equation 5 and 6 can be used in equation 7. So using, you can write using equations 5 and 6 in equation 7 gives 5 and 6 in equation 7 gives Na, for I you write h, then 1 by u plus 1 by r, then it is Ng. For r you write h into 1 by r minus 1 by v. H cancels. So what you get? Na by u plus Na by r is equal to Ng by r minus Ng by v, implies Na by u plus Ng by v is equal to Ng minus Na by R. Writing A is equal to 1 and G is equal to 2, indicating first medium and second medium. You have N1 by U plus N2 by V is equal to N2 minus N1 by R. Same thing, this is equation number say 8 and this is your 9. Same thing, only air is indicated by 1 and this one. Then we come to the sign convention. Actually, we have not used sign convention. So, but the object is at the left and pole is at the right. So, from pole to object, when you measure, it is going against the direction of ray of light. So, that is why in the NCERT book, they have taken it as minus u, this one. And for V there is no problem because the image is on the right side of the pole, so it is positive. So, it is positive, it is negative. And for the radius of curvature, then the radius of curvature there is also another convention, that is it is always measured from the curve towards the center. So, from the curve towards the center, if you measure, then it will be positive. So, using sign convention for U, V and R. For U, V and R, you have N2 by V minus N1 by U is equal to N2 minus N1 by R. So, this is your equation number 10. So, that is used in the next class that we will have. We will use this refraction through a spherical surface to find the lens maker formula.